If you're slim and you're trying to gain weight, but you're having trouble doing it, then this video will help you with understanding the importance of food. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about macros. For those of you who don't know, macros are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats, okay? This is what makes up calories, okay? So for every protein, every 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. Every 1 gram of carbs is also 4 calories. For every 1 gram of fats, it's 9 calories, okay? So when you're making your macros for your meal plan, if you decide to make it by yourself or you decide to find it online or whatever it might be, a lot of people focus more so on the calories, but less on the macros. I think that's a mistake that most people who are just starting make, and I think you should avoid it. So what you should do is focus on keeping your proteins high, and you get to play around with your carbs and your fats. So from my experience, I've noticed that a lot of people do very well with high protein, high carbs, and low fats, or high protein, low carbs, and high fats. Okay, so you kind of play around with the fats and the carbs, and it ends up being more of a preference thing. Protein always has to be high because you need protein to build your muscle. So never bring that down, okay? Keep that nice and high. But with the other two, you can kind of play around with them. And if you enjoy eating things that are higher in fats, like let's say avocados or eggs, for example, or you enjoy nuts, whatever kind of food you want to eat, then tailor your macros to those foods, okay? Personally, I like carbs. I like my rice. I like my potatoes. I like my pastas. So I tend to lean more towards the high protein and the high carb count, and I keep my fats relatively low. Now, in a lot of cases, at least for those of you who are trying to gain weight, you almost feel like you don't care if you gain fat, because as long as you're gaining weight on the scale and you notice it, then it's totally worth overeating and gaining that excess body fat. In my mind, I prefer to grow lean. That way you don't necessarily have to spend so much time losing that body fat in the future. I feel like it's really important to note that, you might gain weight really quick if you're doing, high protein, high carbs, high fats, because your calories are going to be really, really high. But then you're going to have to spend a lot of time getting rid of that fat in the future, just because you wanted to have a quick or a very fast type of bulk, okay? I feel as though it's a bit better to grow in the lean way. That way you don't have to worry about losing that fat in the future. You just grow and you end up where you want to be, okay? So I hope that this is something that you would also incorporate into your meals, into your way of growing. I think it's very important to stay as lean as you can while growing. Okay, next is calories. So your calories have to be high, because without having enough calories, so energy, your body's not going to be able to grow. So you need to make sure that your macros lead you into a high calorie meal plan. Okay, so there is a very fine line. Let's just say, I'm just going to throw these numbers out. These aren't real numbers. But let's just say you weigh 150 pounds. Okay, your goal is to get to 175 pounds. Obviously, you don't want to be a fat 175. You want to be a lean 175. So if you were to start eating, for example, 2,300 calories, and you notice that the scale is going up very, very fast, we're talking maybe, 4 or 5 pounds a week, which is quite excessive and quite difficult, then I would say that you need to dial back those calories and grow a little bit slower. So in an ideal world, you're able to gain about a half a pound to a pound of muscle every single week, provided your macros and your proteins and your work ethic is adequate. You need to make sure that you're doing everything right if you're going to gain that kind of muscle, right? So if you're focusing too much on the calories and less so on the macros, then and less so on the number that you need to be in. So instead of being, again, 2,300 calories, maybe you need to bring it down to 2,100 calories. Yes, you're going to gain a little bit less weight on average every week, but the weight's going to be better quality and you're less likely to lose it in the end, okay? So definitely focus on keeping the calories in a surplus, but don't go into 1,000 calorie surplus because, well, you're just going to get fat and you're going to have to lose it in the future anyway. So I don't believe that that's the best way of doing it. Okay, so that's calories. And the last thing is quality. So I think quality matters a lot more than people think. So for example, if you're focusing on the macros, you're able to play around with food so much that you could kind of put in some crappy things and say that as long as it fits my macros, it's okay. Yeah, in theory, yes, it's fine. Let's just say, you don't mind eating meat. You can pound back protein shakes like nobody's business, and you enjoy eating a Pop-Tart or a bag of chips or something like that. Is it the end of the world to add those things into your program? No, you can definitely do it, and you can definitely still make progress and not get fat. But if you're saying that you're going to have high protein, but all of your carbs are going to come from something like Pop-Tarts or chips or ice cream or whatever it is, then A, you're going to feel like shit, which you don't want, and B, you're not really going to look the way you think you're going to look. As much as macros matter, quality also matters. So you need to be eating high quality foods so that you can yield high quality results. I don't think that munching on Pop-Tarts and candy and all that kind of stuff is going to benefit your body in any way. I feel like, refined sugars are not the way to go. I think if you're going to consume food, you should be able to make things that are healthy, and you can make them taste great. There's no reason why they shouldn't. You might have to learn how to cook or go online, find a few recipes or whatever. But I think it's really important to stick to high quality food and stay away from the processed junk that you might feel like, oh, that's going to be really good to have, but it's not going to lead you in the right direction, at least with the way your body will look. Okay. So that's my bit about quality. I hope this video helps you. I know when I first started, this was the kind of information that I wish I could find online. I know there's a lot of information out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help you. And my perspective right now is trying to help people who are a little bit newer, and some guys who have been struggling with this for a while. I think it's very important that you have the right type of guidance so that you can actually get somewhere and keep it, versus getting somewhere fast just for the sake of getting there fast. Okay? So my next video is going to be about a training program that I've made for beginners. Hopefully that is something you will find useful. So stay tuned and look for the next video that I have coming out. All right, take care.